Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Roosmore.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. Hey, and it's Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, not Tuesday, but it's hump day. Happy hump day. And if I'm talking college ball, you know I'm with my guy. You know, you see him right there, Mr. Maize and Blue himself, Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. Always love talking college ball here. There was a really interesting week. We had a lot of top 10 and undefeated teams fall. And the top 25 had a massive shakeup because of it. If I'm not mistaken, we're either next week or the week after is the first CFP committee poll. So everything's about to shake up here. We're getting into rivalry matchups. We got little brother putting him back in his place Saturday night. We're getting into the thick of college football here, and I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Nathan Snell, what is going on, my guy?
What's up,
I hope you're doing well. I understand it was a rough weekend, but I hope you're doing well, brother. My goodness gracious. Look, welcome to College Football Update. And like my guy Alex alluded to, we are right in the thick of it. We're right in the thick of, I believe, a 47-day straight, nothing but college, either college or pro football on TV. There's not a day that goes by that you're not going to have football up until, I believe, late November, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's Thanksgiving weekend, I believe.
Yeah. So
it was funny because with the Blue Jays being in the World Series, everyone up here is talking about like baseball. I'm like, oh, there's nothing until Friday, and I was about to be like, what are you talking about? Like, we got games going on tonight, like. But they're not the college football people. So.
Right. And let's be honest, most college football fans aren't watching the games during the middle of the week.
They're not watching Delaware versus Middle Tennessee State tonight.
No, they're not. They're not watching that. But ladies and gentlemen, there have been games during the middle of the week, like we alluded to, starting on Tuesday. It started up last week. There was a couple games this week. And there's some games tonight. Who played this? Who played yesterday, and who's coming on tonight?
So yesterday there were two matchups. Kennesaw State beat the brakes off FIU 45-26. Easily took care of business there. Nice to see Kennesaw State kind of building themselves up after joining Div 1 last year, and it was pretty rough. The second game went into overtime. Western Kentucky steals it 28-27. Over Louisiana Tech. So some pretty damn good games going on yesterday. Western Kentucky made themselves bowl eligible with that win. Louisiana Tech slid to, I believe, 4-3. And tonight we got one game currently going and one going on in about 45 minutes. We're getting close to the end of the first quarter here in the Middle Tennessee State-Delaware game that we just mentioned. Middle Tennessee State is up 14-7. And later on, Missouri State plays New Mexico State. So a couple interesting games there. Both Missouri State and New Mexico State are 3-3. So as we're approaching, we're at the midway point of the season now, these teams are fighting for bowl eligibility.
Yes.
They've got to win 3 before they lose 3 in these last the last half of the season here. The last 6 games, they got to win at least 3 of the remaining 6, both those teams. So and we're going to see a lot of matchups like that where teams are kind of fighting for their seasons here.
Oh, yeah. And they need to look good doing it because 6 wins most times guarantees you a bowl. But depending on how the wins go, and there's a lot more teams getting wins, right, you might not get a bowl game. You know what I mean? And then who knows what's going to happen with certain teams. If certain teams will opt out, maybe you'll get an opportunity to come in. But, we really can't say, but that bar is 6. If you get to 6 wins, you're in. So these teams, albeit not in the top 25, these teams are going to be the teams that are going to give you everything they got. Because right now, I mean, you got in conference, but also like Alex said, bowl. So, they're playing for their lives. I mean, they're in playoff mode right now. Just to get into a bowl game. So yeah, definitely pay attention. Watch these teams. I'm telling you, some of these games you start seeing they end up with scores like 46, 42. You know what I mean? And they're just high scoring. You were talking about the game the other night where they kind of blew them out, but then you got the Louisiana Tech game where it was overtime, lost by a point. So these games are going to be dramatic. Definitely don't skip them. If you can remember to watch them, definitely get up on them and watch those for sure.
100%. Well, and I mean, you even look. We're talking middle of the week here, but college football is typically reserved for Saturday. Friday was an insane night this past week. Yeah. So that changed a lot in the total landscape of college football Friday night this past week. So don't sleep on these inside the weekend matchups here.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely stick a couple doozies in there, and to your point, it definitely was a big one. We almost got a win, so it was almost big for us on Friday. Almost. Oh man, but look, let's go into the new AP poll, and Alex, there are some shockers. There are some things that definitely happened, moves made. Ohio State at 1, Indiana up now at 2, and A&M at 3, with Bama and Georgia rounding out the top 5. Then you got Oregon, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss after their loss, Miami after their loss, and then Vandy in the top 10. Let me just. I gotta get
for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, since 1947.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just after World War II ended, is the last time Vandy was in the top 10. So shout out to Vandy.
Let's go. Love
Vandy.
every
Chris is gonna be loving it right now.
Oh, you already know. You know he's hyped. You absolutely know. All right, then you got BYU, Notre Dame, OU, Texas Tech, and Missouri around at the top 15. UVA still in that top 25. Fortunately, we got to play them next. Tennessee, USF, Louisville after their big upset, and then LSU. And then you have Cincinnati, Texas, Illinois, Arizona State, and your Michigan Wolverines. You look at this, you see some of the teams that dropped, you see some of the teams that, went up. And first question I think I got to ask is, we go back and you look at the Penn State loss a couple weeks back to UCLA, and they completely drop out. I think it was Texas, their loss, or, they dropped out as well. And then you look at Ole Miss and Miami. The Miami losing to Louisville. I get Ole Miss. They lost to Georgia, so, they kind of did like Alabama did when Alabama beat Georgia. But Miami's still in the top 10 after their loss to Louisville. I mean, should they have dropped farther? Or, I mean, how are you feeling about that?
I mean, you could argue that they should drop further, but the difference between now and, say, when those teams dropped out is we have more of an overall resume, right? Like Notre Dame is a team that Miami beat. So, I mean, there's good teams that they've beaten, and Louisville's still a good team. It wasn't like they were ranked in like the 50s, 60s. These guys were like late 20s, early 30s in the rankings, so a team just on the outside. And if you look at the game, it was the quarterback playing terrible, and you still only lost by 3 points. So I think there's a bit of context to it. And if we're comparing it to Penn State, they lost to a team that hadn't even led for a single second going into that game. So that one was a lot worse. I don't hate Miami still being in the top 10 because I do think they're one of the 10 best teams in the nation. But I wouldn't necessarily disagree with them sitting at like 11 or 12 given that loss.
Right. And that's something where I'm kind of like, okay, like we said with the Ole Miss one, it's like, I get that. They did kind of what Bama did. They just kind of flip-flopped with Georgia. But yeah, that Miami one, and it was close to your point. And Louisville, to your point, is a lot better than, maybe their record or their ranking would show. But it's interesting to see that. Shout out to Joseph. He said, man, I'm not too happy how FSU has been playing. Hey, Joseph, stay along because we got to talk about your coach a little bit later. We got to talk. But his next comment, and I know how you feel about this, but I mean, you're very down. I mean, you call it like it is. He says he doesn't see any team beating OSU, and I'm just going to stick in that top 10. I'm going to stick with Indiana, A&M, Bama, Georgia, Oregon, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Miami, and Vandy. Out of those teams, I mean, do any of those teams compete with Ohio State?
It's tough to say. I think Indiana matches up physically. They match up to Ohio State similarly to how we match up. They can play physical. They play very good defense. Indiana just doesn't make mistakes, which is kind of the way Ohio State's been this year too. Like, I think if that's the Big Ten championship, that's an insanely good game. I think it's two phenomenal teams. Ohio State, realistically, they haven't really been tested, right? Like, and it's because their defense has been so unbelievably good. I mean, realistically, they score 14 points, they can win any game they've played so far. Like, their defense is insanely good. As much as I hate to say it about both Ohio State and Matt Patricia as a Lions fan, they've done a phenomenal job. But I think Indiana can match up with them. And then there's stylistically, like, Oregon. When Oregon's at their peak, they can match. Miami's defense is so good too that if you get a good Carson Beck, and then Georgia Tech just stylistically can cause problems for a lot of teams. So I don't know. I don't think anyone's untouchable, but I think Ohio State's going to be insanely difficult to beat regardless of who it is. I'm hoping that we're just in their heads enough at this point that we can hang in there kind of like last year, but yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
I mean, how many days is it?
What is it here? 2,153 days.
And counting. Counting. So until they beat you, hey, they can't say nothing. All right. I don't care how many championships they win. Although I know you do, because you still don't want them to win at all. But
yeah,
they still beat you.
Joseph also threw Bama in there as a team that could compete. I like that too. I think their defense is firing on all cylinders right now. Right. And the way Ty Simpson's playing, I think Ty Simpson's kind of pulling away where we had all these guys as the Heisman front runner. I think Ty Simpson's kind of running away with that after those other guys had a couple rough weeks here, and he's just been smooth and very good the entire way. So Bama's absolutely I would kind of say that even though they're the second ranked team in the SEC, I think they've kind of separated themselves in the conference. And I think it's just the rough start there against Florida State looks a little rough for them now, given how Florida State's fallen. But I think Bama's legit. I think Indiana's legit, and I think Ohio State's legit.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nathan is asking, can you read that?
Can I have a clear understanding on what targeting is from your perspective, fellas? I mean, it's kind of getting similar to what is a catch because they have what are supposed to be the clear defining points, the hit to the head or neck area of a defenseless player, the upward striking motion. All those are supposed to play into it, but it's so difficult to really, like, they've made it difficult to judge what is and what isn't, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, that absolutely is, and they don't call it. Or the Jayshon Barham one from earlier this year where he missed the first half of the Oklahoma game because of it. And pretty much everyone that I saw talk about it or that I talked to about it was like clearly roughing the passer, but not targeting. And it got called and upheld. So it's getting to the point where what is targeting is right along with what is a catch.
What's a catch? And it's a judgment call. Honestly, it really depends on who the ref is on that day, because we can all go to certain calls that are so egregious that everybody in the world's like, that's a penalty. Kind of like the Oregon Penn State game. where the guy is going down and he literally gets shot in the hit in the head, and his head comes all the way back, and they don't call it. And you're like, what else do you have to do? You know what I mean? So, I mean, honestly, it at the end of the day, it's a judgment call. Let us know what exactly you were talking about. Are you talking about the one in the Maryland game?
That I don't know.
Yeah, let us know what you're talking about, Nate. But yeah, I mean, it's a judgment call. I mean, there are like Alex said, certain parameters, certain, this point, that point, that point. But
sometimes that doesn't even seem to matter to them, though. Like,
no, it doesn't. Well, the same with the catch, though. Same with the catch, where you're like, okay, he's got it, he's got possession, blah blah blah. I know it touched the ground, but it didn't move. Blah, blah. Okay, but now it's not. It's like, wait, really? So, I mean, it really has to be. Yeah, I've seen inconsistencies on that call. Yeah, exactly.
You're spot on.
So, I mean, we've all said the same. So, we really can't tell what exactly it is. I mean, it has to be that moment, and with those refs. So, but looking back through here, out of the top 10, and I, absolutely love Vandy. We talked about Notre Dame a week ago. They have done nothing but win after their first losses, and now they're up to 12, and they look every bit of it. We know how, Eric came out the woodworks. He's probably busy with work today, but, his Notre Dame Fighting Irish are looking good, led by son of your legacy, CJ Carr. And look, we know he's a freshman. We know he's young, but he's leading that team, and he looks like he's got all the intangibles, man. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because if you look at that Notre Dame USC game, I watched it live. CJ Carr did not play well on Saturday. He was bad. Part of it was because of the weather, but it seemed like I don't know if he was kind of overthinking it or what, but he was off from start to finish. But the rest of the team played very well last week. Right. So it's kind of nice to see that before it was the defense was struggling, but Carr and the offense were playing so well. Now Carr can struggle and the rest of the team around him, the running game and the defense can pick it up. I think Notre Dame's a very complete team. I think they're one of the more complete teams. They've got a phenomenal coach in Marcus Freeman, who, we'll get into some of those coaching spots later, but apparently Florida contacted him and he said no, like just quickly was like, I'm not leaving. So I'd expect a big pay raise for Marcus Freeman here right away to keep him kind of like Indiana did with Signetti. But yeah, I think Notre Dame should absolutely be a playoff team. I think if they get the chance, I think they're going to go far.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that happening the way they've been playing. And we said it; they need to run the table. They're doing it. They're doing it convincingly. To your point, even if one isn't playing great, you got that two-headed monster in the backfield. That two-headed monster, which is what
phenomenally.
Exactly, it's what we expected from Penn State. But we unfortunately didn't get to this level. And I love every minute of it. So, and look, after that, we got OU, Texas Tech, who fell, but they are without their quarterback. So that's going to be interesting. They fell to Arizona State. But you're looking at all those teams. LSU is in the mix. Obviously, Louisville with that big upset. And then you guys down there at 25. Any one of these teams, can they – maybe make a run late? I mean, you guys, what are you thinking from, I love when with Arizona State and Dillingham, you got Levitt back and, you see they're ready to go toe to toe with anybody, but can any of these guys realistically crack maybe the top 15 or even, make a run late?
Well, it's going to be interesting because, you look especially at those 4 Big 12 teams that are in there. Right now, if the conference championship game was to be played, it's BYU and Cincinnati. They're the 2 undefeated teams in conference play there. Texas Tech losing that tough game to Arizona State. But I think you might be able to get 2 of those teams in if Texas Tech is the one that doesn't get to play in the conference championship game and say BYU wins and gets in. Michigan would have to beat Ohio State. They'd have to run the table, beat Ohio State, and get in. Texas probably has to win out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, South Florida is kind of running away with your group of 5 auto bid right now with Memphis. Memphis losing again.
They fell. Yeah.
Virginia Virginia could potentially get in with that conference championship, because I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, it would be Georgia Tech and Virginia. Could be wrong on that, but I think it's those two, the way it sets up now. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, because I don't see what we've got 5 SEC teams as of now. I don't see any conference getting more than 4. I think 3 from the Big Ten, probably 4 from the SEC, and then
6
from there we'll see. But yeah, I kind of agree with Nathan here. Michigan, BYU, Cincy, Texas Tech, outside of South Florida getting that auto bid. But I think the SEC is going to cannibalize itself here. We're seeing that happen in real time, and yeah, I don't see more than 4 getting in, and I think 4 realistically might even be pushing it because of how good the ACC has been this year at the top there. The Big 12 being as good as it's been, 4 might even be a stretch for the SEC this year.
Oh yeah, and you're starting to see a lot of these teams start to show up. I mean, the fact that you've got Georgia Tech in the top 10, Indiana up here in the top 10, even Vanderbilt. I mean, when we talk about SEC teams, we don't normally, say Vanderbilt unless you're Sean Spencer sitting here wishing and hoping on a dream, on a prayer type stuff. But to your point about that, I mean, look, it's really it's open, it's wide open, and when you talk about a lot of these teams being cannibalizing each other and knocking each other out, a lot of this stuff will kind of go by the wayside, and we'll really start to see who's going to be in there. Like you said before the season, you don't have anybody going undefeated, so we potentially could have a number of these teams with 1, 2, even 3 losses still making it into either the championship or into the playoffs. So it's going to be quite interesting how it plays out. Joseph is saying the U is still scary. Hope people are not sleeping on them now. Yeah, no doubt. The fact that Beck threw 4 interceptions and they still only lost by 3, I mean, shows you they still got a squad. They're still good. Colin saying, y'all got any of them French fried taters? Oh yeah, what's good, fellas? What up, Colin? How you feeling, man? I know you're feeling good. Jim Jones said LSU can make a late run, especially if we pull off the upset Saturday. Very true. Very true. And SEC has the toughest schedules. And Joseph agrees with you. And that's the thing. It's up in the air, and those schedules are tough. So they'll probably give the SEC the benefit of the doubt. But like we said, I mean, they are literally all just stumbling over each other to get to that conference championship and then potential CFP. So look, this thing will change. We always stop here to begin the show just to kind of see what's different, what's happened, where it all is. But it is definitely going to change. And we're glad you guys are here with us because we want to get into a number of things going on right now. And one of those things, ladies and gentlemen, is where we hit you with our overreaction or reality. Throw out a couple topics, couple names, couple players, and just say, hey, is it overreaction that they're having success or they're struggling or whatever? Is it reality? Is this what it is? And hey, Colin, you're here. I know the conversation has been brought up, albeit I'm not in it at the moment, but let's have it right here, right now. Overreaction or reality. The real Carson Beck showed himself in the loss to Louisville. Alex, is this an overreaction or is this reality?
Yeah, this is a major overreaction. The guys had one bad game. We're in week 8. They've played, 6-7 games, and he's had one bad one, and he's had like 5 amazing games. This couldn't be further from overreaction. He played himself out of being the Heisman frontrunner. He was the front runner going into Friday and played himself out of that. He'll probably still end up in New York, but no, this couldn't be further from an overreaction. You could argue that he's been better for Miami than Cam Ward was last year. That's how good he's been. So, no, couldn't be further from an overreaction.
Well, and that's the thing. They still, I mean,
Yeah.
It's the fact that they only lost by 3 in that game. And if you take out, I know this is hard for people to do. If you take out those 4 interceptions and look at how he played, he was moving the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those interceptions were off. There was one, I believe, that was tipped, and then there was one, I think the last one, he even said it, and I don't agree with him calling his tight end out, but he even said the tight end ran the wrong route, like he went the wrong direction. So those type of things happen. I get that it's on him. Jim Jones is in the comments. He said reality. He said he played that way at Georgia. No, I don't think he played that way at Georgia. And here's the other part.
Every now and then.
Well, he had times, but he also didn't have anybody that was catching the ball consistently for him. He also didn't have a running game over there in Georgia. So if he was forcing some of those passes, then that might have been. But what have you seen this year when he's had the capable pieces that tells you that is who the real one is? And let's be honest, didn't he still get him to the SEC championship? I understand that he struggled, but if I'm not mistaken, that whole team struggled. They led the country in drops. So
in what's supposed to be the biggest, baddest conference in the whole country, he had them as one of the 2 best teams in that conference. So
right. So I think it's a little bit of revisionist history for people to look back and say, oh, that this is the real Carson Beck, and I think it's people wanting to think that this was the right decision to get him out, and it was wrong how he was done. They dogged the man before the SEC championship, and I'm like, the game against Bama wouldn't even be a game had he not sat there and brought you guys roaring back in that ball game. The way that he was able to play with the lack of help that he had, as far as the inconsistency of wide receivers, I don't know. I don't know what we're watching, but it looks different. Colin says, real deal, Holyfield, sad to say. He said no overreaction whatsoever. And Jim Jones said, didn't he have ETN? Yes, he had ETN, but ETN was nowhere near the force that we thought.
What did ETN do last year?
Right. His brother was dominant when he was at Clemson. ETN did not do much. I mean, and it showed you early on in the season that his head wasn't even in it, where ETN got, I think it was the first game, he had to sit the first half because of a DUI. You know what I mean? I mean, that obviously shows a bigger issue out there, but, that running game was nothing compared to what that running game is this year. Gunner has a more established run game, and his wide receivers are catching the ball. So, I think it's an overreaction. I think there's no question about it. But I love your comments. Appreciate you guys in here talking about it. I mean, hey, this is always going to be debated. We'll see what happens next week. And if he goes back to form, are we going to still sit here and say this was the real one? That's going to be the issue. So let's look at it objectively, people, and get going. All right, let's move on. We just talked about the top 25. Alex, you sent me a reel on this today. The top 25 committee is failing at their job. Is that an overreaction or is that reality?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Like there's people that are voting that should not be voting. They've made that absolutely clear by putting their polls out and seeing the individual results of some of these people. But as a whole, I think it's fine. Like you said, and like we've said the last few weeks, we don't really have that many issues with the rankings themselves. But there's certain people that this is an absolute reality for. What was it? The one woman had Miami move up after their loss. They had them closer to like 8, and then they moved up to like 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken. They had Notre Dame won and moved from, I think it was 11 to like 19 after beating USC. There was stuff that was all over the place, and it's like, how do you even get to this point? So it seems like there's a lot of people that don't watch the games that are voting on these games. So I don't think there's a lot of people on there that should be voting. The committee itself as a whole is fine.
Yeah. And let me remind you, that's a pet peeve of mine. So the people that they have on the committee there, like you're talking about, potentially not watching these games, not familiar with some of these teams, then that lends you to your bias, and then you start going with the teams that you know. I have no problem with you. You're on the committee, you're doing a thing, whatever, but do your due diligence. Don't come and talk about the game or pick pick these teams and X, Y, and Z if you're not paying attention, watching it, and doing it. And I mean, I say the same thing for people like us that talk about it. If we're not watching these games, they don't sit here and tell me that this guy is bad or this guy is good or, X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So, that's to me is crazy. For me, I think the inconsistency is what kills me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I talked about with, the Louisville and, and that whole situation where it's like, okay, they moved up a little bit, but then you have other teams that completely drop. Other teams, like you're saying, that move up. I saw one person had a poll where he had Ohio State knocked down to 3, and it's like, wait, what?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what? To Joseph's point, that's the only team.
As I hate them, they got to be number 1. Like,
right? I mean, that's the only team that I really am like, no, they're good, they're straight, and Indiana's getting there. Definitely.
If you wanted to put Indiana 1 because their resume is a little bit better, fine. That one's going to shake itself out probably in the end anyways. But I'm of the firm belief that until the reigning champ is knocked off, they should be number 1.
Yeah.
So,
and I gotta go with you on that, man. I gotta go with you on that. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, we all know that this doesn't matter that much. What really matters is once the CFP and all that comes out, and then we start really seeing what plays out. And at the end of the day, you want to get in, you win your conference. So that needs to be your first and foremost anyway. That's what you focus on, getting those conference wins so you can then get into that. Other than that, you're going to have to go undefeated or be nearly perfect, depending on, who you are. So, but let us know what you guys think. Is it an overreaction? Are they failing at their job, or are they doing okay? Keeping this thing moving right along. This is going to be an interesting one. And ladies and gentlemen, let us know how you feel. People have had their issues with the NIL and the transfer portal. But for me, Alex, I mean, let me know how you feel. But for me, I think the NIL and the transfer portal saved college football. It is evening up these schools. They're not having these 2 or 3 dominant teams and the rest of them are dropping. Now you have an Indiana, now you have a Georgia Tech, you have a Vanderbilt all in the top 10, and they are quality, legitimate teams. They are all definitely playing good ball, winning big games or staying in games that they had no business staying in years past. And I think that's all because of the transfer portal. I think that's all because now with the NIL, you're doing things above board. And so you have situations where it's like, if we get this guy and we give this money, okay, we're doing things on the up and up. You know what I mean? For me, I think it is evening up the game. I think it is opening up the game, giving guys an opportunity that might not have had an opportunity elsewhere. It might have been on the bench for 2-3 years, but now it's giving them a chance to actually compete. I look at the Diego Pavia story, and I mean, that alone, where we're sitting here having rumors of Heisman hype and things like that. Mm-hmm. You and I were talking about him a couple years ago, giving him a game ball for what he was doing, at New Mexico
State.
At Mexico State, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, I say it saved it. What do you think?
I would say, unless you're a fan of, say, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, I don't know how you could say it hasn't saved it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're not hoarding all the 5-star talent at these 3 schools anymore.
Yep.
Guys are going to play elsewhere and get paid elsewhere. And I think it's better as far as the draft process goes, because you're getting playing time, you're getting reps, you're developing at a better pace. It might not be at the premier schools all the time, but you're getting the development, you're getting the reps. We're seeing guys from smaller schools do way more in the NFL now on a regular basis. So I think as a whole, it saved college football. I don't see an argument unless you're one of those other schools that had a stranglehold on college football for the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. I could see how you'd say otherwise, but as an entirety for the whole of college football, it's absolutely saved it. We, like you said, we can talk about Indiana being a legit national championship contender in the year 2025. Vanderbilt, a legit national championship playoff contender in 2025 and could go win the whole damn thing the way they're playing. Georgia Tech, a legit national championship contender.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how we can see that and say that we haven't improved college football with what we've done with the NIL and transfer portal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Jim Jones said, NIL and transfer portal saved a lot of teams in the top 25. Yeah, they brought a lot of teams into the top 25. Jim Jones also said about what we were talking about earlier. I don't get how Miami's still so high after losing to unranked Louisville, which is what I'm talking about, and how LSU dropped so far by getting beat by a ranked team. And that's the inconsistency that I'm talking about. Go ahead.
But I've got something on that.
Yeah.
What's like Miami's best win is Notre Dame, a very good ranked high team. What would we say is LSU's best win? Because Clemson, that's not a good win anymore, the way they've looked. To me, where you look at best win and the actual the resume of it, I think it makes sense why Miami didn't slide as much as LSU did. I think LSU slid a little too far. I will say that, but it's just when you look at the entirety of their seasons, Miami is clearly the better team, and they are a top 10 team.
And Collins said, "I know, right?" So Collins referencing how number 17 ranked Alabama jumped number 5 ranked Georgia after beating Georgia in Athens. So
that one makes absolute sense.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That kind of is pretty easy to see, but
yeah, I think, and like we said, a lot of this is going to play itself out anyways. The CFP committee's coming in the next week or two here, and they're going to lay out theirs, and none of this is really going to matter anymore. But at the same time, I think we can kind of look ahead to that now and be like, what's your best win? What's your worst loss? Where's your resume actually line up? And Miami's is so much stronger, so that's why they didn't slide as far.
Yeah. Now, as far as going back to NIL and the transfer portal, Colin says maybe although it was happening, just not in front and center in the spotlight. It
was mainly happening at 4, 5, 6 schools. It wasn't happening at 136 schools.
It was consolidated. It was just these couple schools were getting all the guys and everything. I love it now that you have all these guys going to different places and elevating these other teams. Now, Joseph said, but it's hurting a lot of schools. As far as we know about it. I don't know about a lot of schools, but I'll give you this. There are certain schools that can't compete financially with an Oregon, with a Penn State, with an Ohio State. So we get that. That is not stopping certain players from going to these smaller schools. You look at a Boise State with Ashton Genty from a year ago. He had offers to go to other big schools. They were going to pay him a pretty penny, but he decided to stay. Now they're not getting, the type of talent at Boise State, although Boise State is top of the line for where they're at. They're not getting the type of talent as an Ohio State, as a Bama, as a Georgia, and to still stay there. I think you're going to have it where you're going to have guys that will stay or want to go to these smaller schools because the money is not going to be the same, but you will have an opportunity to get on that field. And I think some of these guys are seeing that if you can get in front of the camera, if you can get on the field and actually get playing time, that is going to benefit you in the future more than the money you might get right now.
Well, and I think at the same time, too, when you look at a group of 5 has an automatic playoff bid. So if you're at a group of 5 school that's been good for a while, you're going to have an advantage to get that spot. Like Boise State had the advantage going in. Now they've obviously not held up their end there. But South Florida's been good for a while. They're good this year. They're the clear front runner now. And guys are flooding to these schools that maybe aren't getting the opportunities at those bigger schools. And South Florida is a very, very good football team because they've gotten a lot of these guys to come from other schools and load up there. So while a lot of these schools aren't benefiting as much as they could from NIL, you're going to see a few of those group of 5 schools become very, very good because there is still that auto bid in place.
So, and you can see it in the top 25. You can see it in competition from week to week, and how more players are coming from smaller places. Jim Jones said it is still hurting some schools and bad. Yes, not everybody's going to be immune to it. You're absolutely right. I mean, some schools will definitely be getting hurt. And at the end of the day, the top schools that are making the top money are definitely doing a lot better than some of these other ones. Joseph said,
I mean,
FSU is struggling with NIL. Lost the two new defensive ends to the portal.
At the same time, though, there's no way that everyone was going to do better and nobody was going to do worse. It doesn't work like that. So clearly some schools are going to have to suffer a bit more because these other schools are doing better. And I mean, as far as FSU, a big part of that is they had that run towards the playoffs. Jordan Travis gets hurt. They had all this talent flood there. And then last year they were awful. So then a lot of these guys are going to be like, well, if we're going to be bad, I'll go take my shot at the playoffs elsewhere. So then you've got to reset, retool. That's why you get guys like Tommy Castellanos and those guys that are going to stay there and help you build it back up. So I think it's one of those things where I think it's going to be kind of cyclical, where certain schools are going to struggle here, and then they're going to build back up, and then there's other schools that are going to be really good now, and they're going to kind of tumble a bit, and they'll struggle, and it's going to go in cycles like that. So I don't think any team is going to permanently struggle from it. I think schools will have their ups and downs during it, just like they used to in the BCS era and all that, when you couldn't legally pay players. And there was a lot of schools that had a good 2-3 year run, and then they disappear for like 5 years, and then 2-3 good years, and then struggle again. So I think it'll be very similar to that.
And it's also going to put more weight in getting the right coach and getting the right, not just right coach, but also right front office, and what Bill Belichick did. He brought in Mike Lombardi and, helped to be the general manager and all that stuff. And even with our basketball team, our college basketball, Hubert Davis brought in a guy that helped with the NIL and the transfer portal and all those.
You got to make sure you're getting the right guys too, right? Exactly. You got to make sure your guys are there for all the right reasons. You got to have that one identity, that one message, and everyone fighting for the same goal. Ideally. And that's a tough thing to look for nowadays, because guys might just be looking for playoff recognition or money or whatever it is. Everyone still has their motives. You got to still make sure you're getting the right guys.
Oh yeah. And if NCAA 26 has taught us anything, if you don't meet those goals or you don't meet those talking points, they will leave that next year. And that might have been what happened with the defensive ends. Sometimes they come here for a brand, to be a part of a Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, the big name schools or whatever. They get their year. They realize they've just been sitting on the bench, and I can go now to one of these schools in the MAC or one of these schools in Conference USA and start right away and actually get out on the field.
Yeah.
Some of these guys, they want that. They take that opportunity over all the money. Now, Jim was saying, from what I know, you can jump in the portal and play in the same season.
Within reason. There's certain situations.
Right. You got to have a waiver for example, I thought.
You've got to get clearance from the NCAA. And there's certain situations, like when, say, Sean Foster got fired. That opens a window for UCLA players, and they can go, and then, if I'm not mistaken, then they are eligible right away. Right. But at the same time, just because you're eligible to, say, week 7, say, screw it, I'm out, I'm going to go play for so-and-so school. Well, they've got a guy at that position that's been playing for 7 weeks and had fall camp and spring camp and all that.
Exactly.
What's necessarily saying just because this guy's a bigger name that he's going to hop right in and go? But when you get to this point in the season, you've got your guys and you've got your chemistry and your rhythm and the comfortability in your playbook. There's not many guys that you're just going to drop in and be like, oh yeah, this guy will start over you with zero experience in this offense. or defense or whatever it is, right? Like there's just because they are eligible right away, a lot of the times guys aren't going to play when they're eligible right away. So.
Yep. So and we've seen where guys who've left early in the season, like quarterback for UNLV a year ago,
Matt Sluka,
yeah, and then where is he? What have we really heard?
Back up at JMU, I believe.
Yeah. So it doesn't always work out for some of these guys. So I mean, but that's the way this thing goes. But yeah, and this was like we wanted. This is the point to have a conversation on because there's a lot of different positions on it. And now we got Joseph and we got Jim in the comments, so this thing will hit close to you guys. We got one more before we go into this coaching carousel. Hey, Norvell, Kelly are the next on the short list to get fired. Is that an overreaction or reality? Alex, I'll send it to you. Jim and Joseph, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think about your coaches. But Alex, what do you think, man?
It's an overreaction for now. Norvell, Florida State said they're not making any changes during the season. They came out and said that earlier this week or on Sunday, Monday, whatever it was. But they've said Norvell's the coach at least for the rest of the season. And Kelly, LSU's still in a spot to make the playoffs, so they're not going to make a coaching change unless their season starts to fall apart here, which with that schedule is possible. I do think eventually Kelly's going to get the axe, and I think I've already got my coach lined up for them. But I think Kelly's a dead man walking just because that schedule is so difficult. That I don't see them running the table. I think they lose a couple games here, potentially on the way out, and then he's shown the door for Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin is the guy for LSU, and I think he's leaving Ole Miss this season. I do. Whether it's if the LSU job comes open, I think he's taking that. Otherwise, I think he's going to Florida. He's staying in the SEC. He's going to one of those two jobs. LSU is the better job by far over Florida. So I think if that becomes available, I think he's taking it. And I think Lane Kiffin's a great fit for LSU if that comes open. But otherwise, I do think he's leaving for Gainesville.
Oh yeah. I've heard he's definitely on his way, and that's to that point. That's who I kind of feel like is. Jim Jones is saying it needs to be reality for his coach. And to your point, he's still in the hunt for it, but at the same time, it's almost like the Franklin thing. Like you're always in the hunt. You're always this good. So when you do lose some of these games and look kind of the way you did in the loss, it's kind of like you can't afford this. Now it's not losing to UCLA and then losing to Northwestern back-to-back games, and then, you know what I mean? So it's different in that from that perspective. But how many years did we talk about Kelly couldn't win the first game of the daggone season? Whoever it was against. And look,
I mean, Ben's exactly right. If they don't want to spend that money, given all the money they have in, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're still paying Jimbo. And then they've put a bunch of money into the stadium and the program and all that. So you don't really want to put another 50-60 million into showing Norvell the door. But yeah, and even Joseph said the same thing. If the buyout wasn't so crazy, he'd have already been gone. So
last season,
I do think the end of the season he's shown the door, though. I really do. I don't see how you walk in the next season.
He'll finish the season.
Yeah. And then Deion Sanders is the next coach of Florida State.
I've been calling it. You've been calling it.
Sticking to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I think that's it. I mean, if things don't change, and if Florida State loses another 1 or 2 games, they might have to push that button.
I mean, it's worth it to do it now,
but I get the buyout thing. I get that, but it's weird because that's kind of where we're going. I mean, we're asking more about what is the buyout for these coaches because we want them out. Like they're getting moved left and right. Jim Jones saying LSU has prolific players and a pro offense and defense, but for some reason we can't start fast, nor can we finish.
And that's strictly coaching. That is a coaching failure. So I do think Kelly's not the right guy for LSU. If I'm not mistaken, I think we kind of thought that right off the start at LSU. Thought it was a weird fit before he did the accent and all the weird dances and recruiting videos. And I thought just right off the bat, it was a bad fit. But I think Kelly's got to go back up north. I think his style fits the northern style of football a bit better. And I still, Jim didn't like it, but I think Lane's the guy. I see that as a great fit.
He said he's good on Lane. He said he's good on Lane.
Oh, I took that as like I'm good. Like we're.
Thanks. What do you mean, Jim? You like that pick or no?
And if you don't like Lane, who do you want? That's what I want to know for these guys.
No, so Joseph said, "Bring him on home. We will welcome Prime with open arms." Yep. and Jim said, "Kelly don't even look good in our colors." Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Ben's the one that isn't big on Prime. Actually, there's a lot of FSU fans that I've seen that don't want him. Joseph's one of the first ones that I've seen.
Yeah. Jim said he's good with Lane.
Lane. Okay.
No, Lane. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I took that initially as like, now we're good.
I'm good.
I was like,
right.
I think it's a good fit. Like,
I think he'll be all right. And we already saw, man, if you mess with his daughter, he gonna come for your school. So
yeah, is Whit Weeks gonna have to transfer?
I mean, come on now. Let's see how that relationship went after that. Oh man, yeah. So we'll see. And look, we did this because we were gonna go right into our next and final subject. Appreciate you guys all joining us, but we got to talk about something and that we've been talking about the entire show and every week, that coaching carousel. Guys have been getting fired left and right. Let me first say this, because Eric, I saw you came for me in the chat asking if I had gotten off the bandwagon, if I had jumped off the hype train. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I rode that hype train off the cliff all the way to its demise. Yes, Napier is gone at Florida. He was not able to get it done among all the SEC teams. I understand it. We're gonna talk about who's coming in potentially. You also got Franklin that was let go. We talked about some of these other coaches that maybe need to get let go. Talk to me. Who was let go? Who needs to be let go? And what is going on in this crazy world of the coaching carousel?
Well, one that kind of got flown under the radar because it's a smaller school, Jay Norvell, the other Norvell, Colorado State, got the axe over the weekend. He's been fired. And so what we have, Virginia Tech, we have Penn State, we have Florida, we have Colorado State, we have there been other ones? UCLA, Oregon State, Oklahoma State.
Did Baylor? Did their coach get the axe, Armada?
No, Aranda's still there.
And Aranda's still there? Okay.
Yeah. I think that's it for now.
You said UAB,
off the top of my head. Oh, no, UAB. I forgot them. Yeah, Dilfer's gone. As far as like who should be fired, like I said, I think Kelly's a dead man walking.
Jim said Debo. Or Dabo.
Yeah. Dabo, yeah. I could see. I mean,
he's another one that's just like those other guys. I mean, do you move on from it? And if you do, who are you getting? Is it one of these guys hopping over to take his job and he goes elsewhere? Like,
I think if Dabo gets the axe, he's going somewhere. That would be an interesting fit. I mean, the way he's ran his teams in the past, I wonder if he would be a fit for like Penn State. That's a big name hire. And then as far as like potential openings, we just talked Clemson. If we look at some of these other ones, there's a lot of talk of, say, Matt Rule going to Penn State. Then there's an opening at Nebraska again.
Yeah. Although after that game against Minnesota,
that was a rough one.
Might not be in a hurry.
And then, I mean, Lane Kiffin. We've said Florida. We said LSU. The interesting part is Indiana, the second Cignetti got talks of these other jobs, massive payday. There's been talks of Lane Kiffin for the last week and a bit here. There's been no pay increase. If I'm not mistaken, last season when he was getting talked about for these other jobs, they just said, you can stay or you can go. We're not giving you more money. I might be wrong on that. I know there was talks of that. So it's interesting that they haven't secured him. Dan Mullen's a great one.
Big one. Yeah.
If UNLV's been awesome. I think he's going to get a better job. So then UNLV opens up. There's
in Big Ten, Wisconsin. Fickle's got to be close to the door.
There's also, I'm hearing talks of Michigan State with Jonathan Smith. I've been hearing
the fans let me know. The fans let me know they are not happy. Okay, certain fans have let me know they are not happy with that. With that coach.
I've also it popped back into my mind. An interesting name to watch for Penn State since all the stuff got cleared up from his previous dismissal. Look for Pat Fitzgerald, the old Northwestern coach.
Ooh.
He got absolved the stuff that happened at Northwestern. They found out that he wasn't a part of what they thought he was, so they actually had to pay him out the remaining part of his contract here. So he's been cleared of all the stuff that he was rumored to have been doing at Northwestern, but he had Northwestern in the mix time and time again. Had some damn good players in that program. So if he was doing that at Northwestern, where, if I'm not mistaken, there was a year or two he had them in the Big Ten title game or right on the outside of it. Imagine what he could do with the resources of a Penn State. He is Big Ten through and through. Wisconsin would be an amazing fit for him. He'd get them back to Wisconsin football like that. There's a lot of steam behind Fitzgerald from what I've been hearing the last few days. So look for him to be in the coaching circles again as far as this offseason goes. An interesting one is if Prime leaves, if Florida State opens and Sanders goes, or if he jumps at of Florida, or one we forgot about as well as Arkansas opened up.
Yeah.
There's a few of those where if he jumped to one of those and then Colorado opens up, what does Colorado look like after he leaves? How many of those guys stay? How many of them are there for Prime? Or with what he's built up, how many of those guys are going to stay? And then who's taking over a job like that? So there's just so much going on here. I can't. It's one of my favorite parts.
All right, no, absolutely. So one of the things I've heard, obviously, like I talked to you about, I went to North Carolina a couple weekends back, and all over local media, all over local news, what's going on with Coach Belichick? Is he on his way out? There's allegations that, things are happening in-house, and, maybe the players aren't on the same page, and, he didn't let the one kid kick the kid off the team after he got hurt. All this crazy stuff's going around. And I've been listening, and one of the names that, they've been saying, they potentially, who knows, we'll see if he's out or not, but one of the names kind of tied with that job, potentially Franklin coming to Carolina. Yeah. I don't know if that would happen, but, there have been talks over the last couple of years of moving us kind of into the SEC, which I don't like, but I get because of the institution and all that. But if you're gonna go there, you're going to need a coach that is ready to be on par. Belichick maybe needs a couple more years, but he ain't there. Franklin is there right now, so we'll see. You know me, I want Mac. Just give me Mac Brown back. Give me my guy.
Give
me my best.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Crazy, So Jim Jones said coach from Middle Tennessee State.
He also got fired. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I don't remember his name, but it's another one.
He said Kirby. Now I don't see
as a
Kirby,
guy to leave, maybe.
Yeah, but where does he go?
Doubt it.
Is he taking the Bama job if DeBoer goes down? Like, where is Kirby? Where would he go?
I think DeBoer's locked himself in, but
yeah.
I don't see Kirby going anywhere.
This is what's going to happen right here. All right. And we're just going to turn into Aflac U. All right. Dion. And we get Saban too.
It's the colors.
I'm telling you. Oh, yes. We want Bill to go as well. I 100% agree.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, let us know what you guys think. Let us know who you think is going where.
I'll be right back.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right now, right now it's up in the air. Honestly, with all of these coaches that have been fired, and this is part of the thing that's part of like the transfer portal, that the crazy part where it's kind of like you got coaches that have been here, maybe signed for 2, 3, 4 years, and then all of a sudden you don't win as many games and you're out. You have coaches that played great or coached great at the lower schools, at maybe the group of 4 or group 5 of 4, and then they come like a Billy Napier who comes to an SEC, a Power 4, Power 5 conference, and now all of a sudden he can't, replicate all the success that he had before. So yeah, there's definitely levels to this, and there's also something to be said to, places that are able to give a coach a little bit more time. Obviously, with some of these bigger name schools, you don't have as much time. Now, if you succeed, if you win, you'll always buy yourself another day. And we saw with Napier, he had a couple wins last year that bought himself a couple more, at least another year. He got that win this year, I believe, over Texas, bought himself a couple more games. But, we'll see. Let's see. I don't see it happening, but I wouldn't be against Gruden in Tallahassee. Oh, I know Gruden's been trying to get back into coaching. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that'd be quite interesting. And Jim Jones said, I only said Kirby because Georgia is not feared like the Chiefs and Eagles of college football anymore. They're pulling their ears back and putting a hat on a hat. And yeah, to your point, I think what the blessing and the curse of winning for Georgia is that, when you win, yes, you finally get exactly what you wanted, to be at the top. You get back-to-back championships. You are the best team in the country by far. But then you realize what Alabama and their fans have been dealing with, where if you continue to win over and over and over, then the bar gets pushed up. So now a 10-win season and getting to the SEC championship aren't it. Now getting to the playoff isn't enough. You have to win the whole thing. And I was just reading what Jim Jones was saying. I only said Kirby because Georgia's not feared like the Chiefs and Eagles of college football anymore. They're pulling their ears back and, going hat for hat. And that's what we've talked about it. They don't have the same talent. Part of that is because of the transfer portal and all that. But, the other part, there's off-field stuff that's going on. But I think the question that, Alex, you always ask, and I love this, is who's going to – if you get somebody else, who are you getting? Who and how are they going to be better? The bar is at the top right now. So if you get move from Kirby, outside of what, Saban, and not even – I don't know if Saban's really the greatest in this NIL era now that he ain't doing it under the table like he used to do. So – we know Kirby's probably not going to go, but the expectations are very, very, very high. And there's this one. He's talking about he wants John Gruden, Tallahassee.
That's an interesting one. It's interesting to see if he's actually going to get a job in college football, because he's been talking about it. I don't see him back in the NFL, so maybe in college, but I don't see him jumping right into like a top name program, I don't know.
So now
he's an interesting one.
We'll see. That's the thing. So I get it. I get he's a great coach, Super Bowl winning coach. We know, I love his fire and all that stuff. But are we just going to overlook kind of some of the crap that he got in trouble for? Like, I mean, and we're not talking. Those are grown men in the NFL. Now you're dealing with kids, and we kind of know. We got to peek inside how you're running things, how you're thinking.
Well, and I mean, it's one of those things. You look at how it went in Vegas the second time around there, where he had essentially total control. Where you get to college football and the coach has total control. So
right,
it'd be a risky one for sure.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd make the move, but I mean there might be a move made soon. So hey, listen, the coaching carousel it's funny because it's becoming musical chairs, and you know what, Alex, we should have known this because when you play CF college football 26 after each year. The coaches go left and right. I mean, how many times did you send us in the group chat? This coach is now over here.
List.
Yeah.
Every single year.
I'm telling you, maybe art, maybe video games, imitating life, maybe it's flip-flopping. Who knows what's going on? But it is becoming more crazier and crazier. The coaching carousel, the transfer portal, and all that good stuff. And stay tuned because we're not done. I guarantee more people will be fired and let go. You know, and hey, who knows?
We're only halfway point of the season,
right? Exactly. But maybe next time we need to talk about some of these coaches that are actually dominating, that are actually doing well. We talk about Mullen. We talk about Marcus Freeman. Jerome doing his thing for Michigan. And it's funny they asked him this week because this is the week. This is little brother week for you. For them, It's there. The punter messes up, fumbles the snap. Like that's what they're thinking this week. I got sent that by two Michigan State people. I was like, oh, okay, I'll let him know. I'll let him know. But it showed his first interaction with that game as a coach was the Devin Bush game, where the Devin Bush is kind of messing up the field, and they're doing and they said that was his first kind of involvement in that. So that's going to be interesting to see and all that. But I mean, Tony Elliott at Virginia, like Clark Lee, these coaches that are actually doing well, maybe we'll take a look at some of them as opposed to everybody else who seems to be getting fired, let go, or leaving.
Yeah, maybe do both. Like who's on their way out and who's maybe save themselves or earn themselves a better job potentially,
yes, stock up, stock down.
Yeah. I like that.
That's what we're going to hit. Stock up, stock down. So look, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and let you guys go. We appreciate you guys jumping in here in the comments. Jim, Colin, Joseph, Ben, and Nate all up in here. Ben.
Appalachian State was worse.
Oh, good.
That was a year that we were supposed to be in the running for a national championship, and that happened. So yeah, that was worse by far.
Yeah, and quick story about that.
That's in history. So,
quick story about that. So I was working with Eric. It's funny. This is how far Eric and I go back. I was working with Eric at the Y, and it was that Saturday morning, and I had gone out the night before. So I overslept before, I didn't see the first games. And then all of a sudden Eric hits me up. He's like, can you believe it? Can you believe it? It actually happened. I'm like, what? Was it like number 5 or something? Like number 5, Michigan.
I think we were number 2.
They were
I think so.
Sorry. Oh God. He was like, they lost. I can't believe it. And I was like, for real? I was like, did they really lose? I hadn't even gotten up yet. And he said that to me, and I checked. And then, good gracious. Great show. Yeah, appreciate it, Ben. Hey, Ben, I sent you the link. Next time, man, definitely come on here. We want to rap with you. Dan Mullen, Florida State.
They were 5. You were right.
They were. Yeah,
App State was number 1 in FCS, but still.
I'm not going to have you relive that. I'm sorry that Ben had to do that. Ben, come on, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna get out of here. Definitely stay tuned to all the other stuff we got coming up. Stay tuned on YouTube. I think Zagnif Productions with Anthony Handy. They're gonna do Let's Talk Football, the round table tonight recapping the games. So we'll definitely get in the comments over there. Definitely tune into them. And then Let's Talk Football Ladies Takeover is back tomorrow. Janae Struther is back with her voice. I still got that daggone jersey. I'm looking for a bonfire. Anybody's having a bonfire? Because I think I'm gonna burn that daggone jersey. That's right, Janae. All right. God, still itches. It still itches from wearing it.
That's the terrible thing about doing any sort of content creation and making bets. That's why I was like, I will spend the money to buy Andrew a jersey when I lost the draft last year. I was like, I'm not. Nope. I was like, you won't catch me dead in Ohio State, a Packers, nothing. Not a chance.
Oh, this one hurts. This one hurt, man. All right. We got to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. For my guy, Alex Loosemore, it's your boy, Sean Spencer. We appreciate you. And Jim said, tag me, Brody. You'll be on the other show. We'll get you in here, my guy. We'll definitely get you in here. All right, people. We got to head out of here. We will see you guys next time. Stay up. Watch college football. We got games on tonight, games on tomorrow, games next couple days. I'm in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
This is heaven. Peace out, people. We'll see you next time.
College Football Update. It's with your host, Sean Spencer. Hey.